Glory weekend full of surprises that we had. Argentina getting knocked out. That's not all. Even on Sunday, surprises galore were in store as Russia surprised many by knocking out Spain there in that shootout. The late night game to Croatia and Denmark went into shootout, but in the end, Croatia managing to survive that particular ordeal there. But today too, we've got two good games there lined up in the round of 16. Brazil there in action, along with Belgium there in action in the other game, taking on Asian superpower Japan in that particular outing. Two games for you tonight. 7:30 Brazil versus Mexico. It's a South American battle there between the two sides there. An interesting contest on the cards. European side, Belgium taking on an Asian powerhouse at 11:30 p.m. It's a match you should watch for the simple reason stats favor the Asian side in that particular outing. So over the next 30 minutes, we're going to look at what happened in the two games gone by and the two games that we have in store today. Also joining us today evening is somebody who's joined us across the World Cup there with us this evening. Joining us in the studio is Rahul Banerjee there. Rahul, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Pleasure
you,
having you here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, let's get started on this first game that we are looking at, Brazil versus Mexico. Brazil will take on familiar foes Mexico in their last 16 match of that FIFA World Cup today. Both teams look to advance to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Brazil's World Cup campaign thus far has seen them improving in each match they have played so far. Brazil have never lost a World Cup game against opponents from Central or North America. Let's take a look.
Brazil and Mexico will face off today in the World Cup round of 16 to battle it out for a place in the quarterfinals. Heading into the tournament, Brazil were labelled by many as favourites to win the competition. However, after drawing 1-1 with Switzerland in their opening game and just about scraping by Costa Rica in their second match, many began to question whether this was possible. However, after a solid 2-0 win over Serbia, Brazil's campaign looks to be back on track and confidence in the camp is very high. While Brazil had a fairly slow start but have since recovered, Mexico got off to the best possible start but have recently faltered.
Eu não posso falar, sei da qualidade de todo o trabalho.
I know about the quality of the work we have been doing and that of the Mexicans as well, and I have respect for them. I'm not going to analyze everything they do. I respect the whole work developed by the opponents. There will be tweaks, but we expect our team to perform like they did in the last game.
Uma expectativa da equipe reproduzir desempenho parecido com o do último jogo.
Super equipo y they are a super team. The defenders play a great aerial game. The fullbacks can also attack well and they have a great coach. Tite, he is top level and combines his players very well. But apart from that, he has always presented a solid defense in the midfield with either Fernandinho or Casemiro.
Brazil are the most successful team in World Cup history, having won the competition 5 times in the years 1958, 1962, 1970, 1994 and most recently in 2002, and are bidding for a 6th title this year in Russia. As for Mexico, they have never won the competition. They have reached the quarterfinals twice, both during tournaments hosted in Mexico, yet have failed to go beyond that point. Brazil are unbeaten in their 4 previous World Cup games against Mexico, keeping clean sheets in all 4 of those matches. For Brazil, right back Danilo has recovered from the thigh problem that ruled him out of the Serbia game. Sports Desk, DD News.
Let's take in that particular outing there between Brazil and Mexico. Let's take a look at that head-to-head record between the two teams on how they have played. If you see 40 games played between these two sides, Brazil clearly having an edge with 23 wins, Mexico having 10 wins against his names and 7 games ending in a draw. So stats clearly favor the Brazilians in this particular outing. If you look at the World Cup 2018, both the teams have played 3 games. Goals, Brazil has got 5, Mexico has got 3. Shots on target, fouls committed, not much to choose between the two teams. So are we going to expect, a rough game between the two South Americans there? Or is it going to be something totally different that we're going to see tonight? We'll have to wait and watch. Let's get Rahul in quickly and open the show for you. Rahul, purely looking at in terms of style, in terms of, passion that these two teams bring about, not much to choose from. Having said that, which is the side that you're looking having a clear-cut advantage?
No, I mean, it's obviously Brazil is always the favorite in any game they play in any World Cup.
Okay.
They will start as favorites. And also it depends on which Mexico turns up. If the Mexico that started in the first game against Germany, if they turn up, anything is possible. If the Mexico that played in the third game against Sweden, if they turn up, then it's a done deal for Brazil. So it will really be important how Mexico really approach the game. If they sit back deep and defend like they did in the first game, and then they hit on the counter, and let's not forget how fast they are on the counter attack.
Okay.
Other than France, I think they're the fastest moving team in attack. And if that Mexico takes to the field today, then Brazil will really have their hands full.
Okay, having said that, purely in terms of on how the two teams play, is it, Neymar is the talking point for, as soon as we say Brazil, but is Felipe Coutinho, the star player that's, who's rather orchestrating that midfield together for them and putting things together for Brazil to make this smooth transition into the knockouts?
The fact that Coutinho has stepped up to the plate, so to say, and taken that load of playmaking off Neymar's shoulders has been the biggest boon for Brazil. Look, some of the things they don't really need to tinker. Their backline is superbly solid. They have a very creative midfield. The one slightly floating aspect, if you would like to call it, of Brazil's play was this. What role is Neymar going to play? Is he going to play a 10? Is he going to play a withdrawn 9, a floating 9? Now with Philippe Coutinho stepping up, taking the the load of playmaking, distribution from the heart of the midfield to his to the flanks and up front, with that weight gone from Neymar, I think now you will see a much more dangerous Brazil. But again, let me say, like I said earlier, if the Mexico of the first game they played against Germany, if they turn up and play the same kind of tactics that they did in that game, sit back, defend deep, and then hit back with that tremendous pace that they have on either flank, I think they can, even with this set defense of Brazil, they can create problems. Okay,
having said that, is Brazil of 2014, when you enter the knockouts, do you, do these kind of things, play somewhere at the back of your mind, 2014, the way they got thrashed by Germany, that 7-1 score line, is that somewhere, somewhere troubling the Brazilians at the back of the, back of the head when you enter these knockout stages of a tournament? Group stages, it's fine. In the knockout stages, you somewhere fear that's, that could be a possibility, having seen what happened to Argentina.
I mean, let's get one thing very clear. This World Cup is no respecter of reputation, no respecter of form and history.
Okay.
Every group we have seen has had its share of upsets. Look, there are 3 or 4 champions who have already gone home. That alone. And who's left? I mean, who's left in the fray? You have Colombia, you have Mexico, you have Japan, you have Switzerland,
Russia,
the lowest ranked team in the tournament at 67 when the World Cup started 2.5 weeks ago. So reputations, form, past history, I think in this World Cup, I think for the first time ever, is really taking a bit of a backseat, because every team has come determined to make a point. That's what you would expect to see every time at every World Cup. But somehow in the past, it's not really happened. You've seen one odd team make a statement and leave. But this time across the board, it's the underdog which has balanced the scales against the top teams. There are as many little teams in the pre-quarter final as there are the big teams. You would normally expect by seeding only the big boys would have gone through, but no, it's not like that at all. It's very different. And you have, so these are the things that are going to make this World Cup pretty unique. Maybe even set a trend for the next one. We're going to have a bigger and bigger World Cup as it goes, the way FIFA is planning. So this could just be setting the stage for saying, look, that a lot of people are saying, look, you have a 48-team World Cup. How is it possible? It's going to be a big mismatch. But let me tell you, look, this World Cup has showed that, the smaller teams, what we say smaller in terms of reputation and history, are not going to sit and say, look, we are just here to make up the numbers. We will play our games and go away like good people, and you all progress. It's not going to be like, it's not been like that, and I don't think it's going to be like that.
Okay, now a word on Mexico. Mexico has played 56 World Cup matches before this. One of the few unlucky teams who've never managed to win the cup. This time around, the form that they showed against Germany in that opening game, also the second game, they look clueless against Sweden, the third game that they played. What does Mexico take into this game? Purely in terms of positives that you carry from the group stage. What are the positives they pick and get going when they get to take on Brazil?
I think the cohesion of the team, which was surprisingly missing in that game against Sweden, which was maybe, I think that at that point they had started to relax and said, look, I think we have already got through to the qualifying round, so to the knockout round, so we really don't need to be that that focused and that sharp anymore. It seemed like that because that was not the team which had played the earlier two games. You know, this was all of a sudden a completely, you know,
that particular loss also changed the dynamics of that group.
Exactly, it switched the whole dynamics as well, which is why they shouldn't have done what. Anyway, but the fact that they did get through, eliminating Germany in the process, shows that they know what to do. And let's not forget, every time Germany have arrived at, I beg your pardon, Mexico have arrived at a World Cup, they have made it to the next stage. They have never gone away
empty-handed,
losing from the first
stage.
Never, ever. So that much, and apparently from what we have seen and what we have read about this team, this is probably one of their best ever teams. Now, you've had great teams in the past with 2 or 3 very, very good players making up the team, but across the board, the kind of quality that Mexico have brought to Russia is probably their best team ever. And so they are putting a lot of, I mean, Osorio, their coach, he's not fazed at all by the fact that he's, they are playing Brazil. Their captain, Guardado, is he's up to, this is the team, this for me, he said, and my boys, this is the dream game in a World Cup. Who does not want to play Brazil in a World Cup? And that's the way they're looking at it.
Okay.
So when you come in with these positives in your mind already, you're not going to be sitting back and say, you know, oh, I'm playing Brazil, we're going to lose. Okay. Let's keep it down to 1 or 2 goals. No, I don't think so.
Okay, he's leaving it open. He says, we've got a match on our hand today, you know, Brazil taking on Mexico. Mexico is not going to take that light down. But we'll discuss more on that other game, you know, Japan versus Belgium. But on the other side of the short break, stay tuned, keep watching Cup of Glory.
इस घर में अंडे देने से हमें कोई नहीं रोक सकता। मैं रोक सकता हूँ। तुम्हें पता नहीं हमें एडीज मच्छर जो फैलाते हैं डेंगू और चिकनगुनिया। मास्टर जी ने स्कूल में डेंगू मच्छर से बचने की सारी जानकारी दी है। अच्छा बच्चों, हमें चैलेंज जगह तो जरूर मिलेगी। नहीं मिलेगी। यहाँ तो पूरे इंतजाम है।
डेंगू की रोकथाम के लिए कूलरों के पानी को हर हफ्ते बदलें, बाल्टी और टंकियों को अच्छी तरह से ढक कर रखें, पूरी आस्तीन के कपड़े पहनें, मच्छर भगाने वाली क्रीम, कॉइल और अगरबत्ती का इस्तेमाल करें।
डेंगू से लड़े मतलब डेंगू से बचे।
इतने सारे फल फूल, वाह कमाल है भाई। सब शौचालय का आशीर्वाद है मिश्रा।
शौचालय नहीं, शौचालय, वो भी 2 गड्ढों वाला। 7 साल पहले मैंने इनसे कह दिया था, शौचालय नहीं तो शादी नहीं।
और मैंने क्या जवाब दिया था? 2 गड्ढों वाला नहीं तो शौचालय नहीं।
2 गड्ढे क्यों?
1 गड्ढा 5 साल में भर जाएगा शौच करते करते। उसके बाद लिवर को ऐसा घुमाओ और दूसरा गड्ढा खोल दो।
अरे दूसरी की क्या जरूरत, इसी को साफ करवा दो ना, टट्टी तो है।
ये टट्टी नहीं है, ये सोना है। अरे ये गड्ढा भरने के बाद अगर 1 साल बंद रहेगा तो यही छीछी सोना बन जाएगा,
यानी सोन खाद।
इसे हाथ से उठाओ और खेतों में मिलाओ और शौचालय का आशीर्वाद पाओ।
अब तो मैं भी बनवाऊंगा 2 गड्ढों का शौचालय।
और ये भाभी जी को दो।
धरती का उपहार है मिश्रा। शौचालय हो तो 2 गड्ढों वाला।
मलेरिया मैं फैलाऊंगी।
तू जरा ठहर तो मच्छर।
हम सब मिलकर तुझे मजा चखाएंगे।
पानी से भरे छोटे गड्ढों को मिट्टी से भरेंगे, घर के अंदर कीटनाशक का छिड़काव करवाएंगे,
मच्छरों का लार्वा खाने वाली मछलियों को हम रुके हुए पानी में छोड़ेंगे,
हम मच्छरदानी में सोएंगे,
हम मलेरिया मुक्त स्वस्थ भारत बनाएंगे।
Welcome back to Cup of Glory. The second game that we are looking at, Japan versus Belgium, the second match of the 3rd day of the round of 16 fixtures. We'll see Belgium facing off against Japan in the Rostov Arena to secure a place in the quarterfinals of the 2018 World Cup. Belgium breezed through Group G, beating Panama 3-0, Tunisia 5-2 before a 1-0 win over England. Expectations have been raised by their solid start to the tournament, but coach Roberto Martinez has claimed to be focusing only on the next game. Japan, on the other hand, scraped through Group H due to their superior fair play record to Senegal, who they finished level with on goals scored, goals conceded and points acquired. With those two on the field, Belgium have a substantial talent edge, but a pesky Japan team has already shown it can shut down a highly flying attack and make almost any matchup interesting. Well, a look at that head-to-head record between the two sides on how they have performed in this particular game. That's the head-to-head record. 5 games played. Japan having an advantage here over Belgium, 2-1. So things in favor of Japan. That's going to be an interesting contest there that we have tonight. I don't think many people, at least many people in Asia are going to sit up and enjoy that particular game there in the middle. Rahul, your take on this particular game? Is it a must-watch game, or you would say Brazil versus Mexico is enough for
I have been rooting for both the Asian teams in this competition that made it.
Japan and South Korea.
All of them, of course, but these are the two that really shone, and I'm really glad that they have, the Asian teams are there and making a presence felt, and it's good to see. And I was actually surprised with that little stat that you all put up there, saying that Japan have a better head-to-head record against Belgium, which is quite surprising. Because Belgium, don't forget, European teams tend to have a longer history in the game than most other parts of the world, other than South America. So that was quite an interesting little stat, saying they have actually won more times than Belgium. But at the same time, this game, my feeling is that Belgium just have a little too many guns for the Japanese on the day, because again, like we were talked about Mexico, Belgium have come here with a team which is probably in their World Cup history the best ever. They have some really sparkling talent, starting from way down in the defense in the form of people like Vincent Kompany, to the middle with Eden Hazard, up front you have Romelu Lukaku. So this is a team that is capable of actually winning the World Cup.
Okay, why I cast aspirations on the Belgium defense, for the simple reason, if you see the average of their 4 defenders, the average age comes to somewhere around 30. Is there, 2 heavy legs or 2 old legs that you're banking on in a World Cup, considering we're playing, a quick and choppy side like Japan?
It depends on where you're putting the older guys. If you're putting them in the central defense, then they don't have to do that much of running. If you're putting them, if they're playing as wing backs, then obviously they're going to be doing a lot more. So that depends on the work distribution Martinez gives to his team. So that depends on. He will definitely also be a little worried about the actual composition of defense, because he's been forced to make changes in the back line because of injuries. Even in the last game, we saw Kompany came on only, I think, in the second half. He was a substitute. There's no guarantee he will even start, though he's the captain of the Manchester City team that that swept everything in the Premiership. So form, current form, fitness, there are many things that play over here. And what Martinez will decide to do on the day, and he knows this is a Japanese team that will not give his attack, which is, like I said, one of the best in the tournament. They will not give them very many easy shots at goal, and how well they defend against the odd Japanese counter-attack will be also very important.
Okay, Rahul, having said that, does Japan need to take a lesson or a leaf out of what Russia did last night against Spain? You look at it confidently, go approach that game, say it's a game of 90 minutes, we'll take it, minute by minute and play this game out. Do they have the element of surprise that they can peg back the Belgium side?
No, you made a very good point about aging legs or old legs. Now, the dynamics of the tournament have now changed.
True.
It is not a 90-minute match anymore. It is now a 120-minute match plus penalties. So the first day we saw that was, as someone who's been watching football for so many years, I was completely taken aback. 7 goals in the first game, 3 in the next one. You don't expect that. In the knockouts, you expect everybody to sit back. Caution is the first word. You don't want to give away space. You don't want to give away a goal. You want to take it particularly if you are one of the lesser favored teams, you want to take it as deep into the match as possible. Like you saw with Russia, they gave away a goal, they got one back, and after that they gave Spain
nothing
no
away
chance
for
at
75
all.
minutes.
For the next 70 minutes. Yes, and both goals came within the first 5 or 8 minutes. So the next 80 plus minutes, nobody gave anything away. Okay, let's keep dragging it on. So the focus here is now on the teams that don't really have a very good attack. They will pack the defense and hope that they don't give away a goal. Take it to 90, then take it to the 30 plus minutes, and then after, ultimate aim is the 5-5 penalty shootout.
Okay, 5-5 penalty shootout is an interesting, wait and watch game for most of the teams who don't have that firepower or the big names to back them in world football. But remember, having reached the World Cup finals, every team is worth its salt. Let's now take a look at Spain versus Russia, a surprise of surprise result. Russia progressed to the World Cup quarterfinals by beating Spain 4-3 on penalties. The two sides could not be separated after 120 minutes of play. Spain had taken the lead when Marco Asensio's curling free kick into the 6-yard box hit the ankle of Sergei, who was marking Ramos, and flew into the net. Spain dominated possession but were unable to make it count and were punished when Russia were awarded a penalty, and Gerard Piqué handed Adams a header, and the Petersburg forward sent David Gea the wrong way for his third goal of the tournament. Russia clung on with tired legs through 30 minutes of extra time. In shootout, Russian goalkeeper is a new hero there. Akin saved 2 spot kicks to send the host through to the last 8. Well, let's take a look at that Russian shootout order, on which are the players that clicked for them and which were the players that missed. Surprisingly, Koke and Aspas there missing that particular penalty shootout for Spain. But for Russians, all the 4 players there in perfect order in that shootout, even though they were tired. Remember, look at that position there that Spain had, but Spain couldn't find the back of the net. 74% possession in a game of 120 minutes. Both the goals were scored in the first half, so not much to choose from. But then, just failed to understand Iniesta's last game there, coming on a substitute in the 67th minute, and what exactly was the new coach there trying to do in this particular World Cup knockout contest. Rahul, having said that, did the tactics surprise you? Iniesta, your star player there, and Asensio playing. Many expected Asensio and Iniesta to play together this game. But were you surprised that Iniesta came on in the 67th minute in this crunch game against Russia?
No, probably he could have been carrying an injury for all, because otherwise there's no reason for him not to have played as long as possible. Again, let's not forget the fact that everyone caters for the fact that it's not a 90-minute match, it's actually a 120-minute match. So maybe Yero felt, he's a stand-in coach, he's walked into the job in very funny circumstances. Suddenly the head coach getting sacked with a day and a half to go. So, a bit of uncertainty over there, unsettled environment over there. But definitely, he's been around as a very long-term servant of Spanish football. So, he would have also known what he's doing. He probably would have, and let's not forget, Iniesta is now 34, 35. So, he's on his this is his last appearance on the big stage. So, he would have wanted to obviously keep him as fresh as possible if the match went on deep, into the past the 90. And then also, let's not forget one very important thing. This is Russia playing in Russia. When you're playing, it's not 11 versus 11, it is 11 plus 60,000.
Okay.
So that sometimes, and I think Akinfeev has made the point. He says first he thanked God, then he thanked the crowd. He says, it is not just me. He got the man of the match. He said, no, man of the match is not me. The man of the match is the crowd. They kept us going. With that, it's something, we've seen it in all our cricket matches when India play in India. That enormous power and energy that comes from the crowd is significant. And this team, which was actually a written off terrible record before they came into the World Cup. Russia had 9 matches in a row. They were 11 matches winless. And look at where they are.
Okay. They are in the quarterfinals, so that's a surprise there. You many a times, don't write off. When Russia qualified for round 2, many expected this to be the easiest match there in the knockouts. But then Spain have paid a price. We'll have to wait and watch which are the other teams that Russia can cause headaches as the World Cup goes by. Time for a breather here. On the other side, we'll take a look at Croatia, keep their World Cup hopes alive. They want to break that 1998 jinx. Can they go forward this time around? We'll discuss that on the other side of this short break. Stay tuned.
आदरणीय देशवासियों, यह दुखद सच्चाई है कि कई युवा नशे के कारण अपने जीवन को नष्ट कर रहे हैं। नशे की वजह से परिवारजन का उत्पीड़न, सड़क दुर्घटनाएं आदि देखने को मिलते हैं। मैं देश के युवाओं से अपील करता हूं कि किसी को नशे से पीड़ित पाए तो उन्हें इस अंधेरे से निकालने का प्रयास करें। सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता मंत्रालय विभिन्न योजनाओं एवं कार्यक्रमों के माध्यम से लोगों में जागरूकता फैलाने के सार्थक प्रयास कर रहा है। याद रखिए, नशा पीड़ित व्यक्ति अपने परिवार और समाज के सहयोग और अपने आत्मबल द्वारा इस दलदल से बाहर निकल सकते हैं। इस अवसर पर मैं देशवासियों से अपील करना चाहता हूं कि हम नशे से हमेशा रखें दूरी। यह खुशियों के लिए है जरूरी। धन्यवाद।
इस घर में अंडे देने से हमें कोई नहीं रोक सकता। मैं रोक सकता हूँ। तुम्हें पता नहीं हमें एडीज मच्छर जो फैलाते हैं डेंगू और चिकनगुनिया। मास्टर जी ने स्कूल में डेंगू मच्छर से बचने की सारी जानकारी दी है। अच्छा बच्चों, हमें चैलेंज जगह तो जरूर मिलेगी। नहीं मिलेगी। यहाँ तो पूरे इंतजाम है।
डेंगू की रोकथाम के लिए कूलरों के पानी को हर हफ्ते बदलें। बाल्टी और टंकियों को अच्छी तरह से ढक कर रखें। पूरी आस्तीन के कपड़े पहने। मच्छर भगाने वाली क्रीम, कॉइल और अगरबत्ती का इस्तेमाल करें।
डेंगू से लड़े मतलब डेंगू से बचे।
यहाँ 19 विलेजेस है और यहाँ के बंगालिया बैगन के भरता खाना पसंद करते हैं। आर सिटी की जो ट्रेनिंग है वहाँ से खुद का बिजनेस शुरू किया है, मस्टर्ड ऑयल मिल। ये मेरी जिंदगी का एक नई शुरुआत है। आगे मैं यूनिट को और बड़ा करना चाहती हूँ। एक मिसाल समझ सकते हैं कि एक औरत भी बहुत कुछ कर सकती है।
ऐसे ही शुरुआत हो रही है हजारों बिजनेसेस की। आरसेटी के जरिए आप भी कौशल पंजी द्वारा रजिस्टर कीजिए भारत सरकार की DDU-GKY और आरसेटी योजनाओं में। ग्रामीण विकास मंत्रालय, कुशल भारत, सशक्त भारत।
Welcome back once again to Cup of Glory. That Croatian win that we're talking about, Daniel Subasic saved 3 penalties as Croatia knocked out dodged Denmark in a nerve-shredding shootout to set up a World Cup quarter-final tie against host Russia. Croatia won 3-1 penalties. The Leicester City goalkeeper was also saved 2 penalties in the shootout there, but could not prevent Ivan Rakitic slotting home the decisive 10th kick there for Croatia to seal that place. Now it's time to look at the nostalgic moments there. Not many know that Ricardo was responsible for England getting knocked out from the 2006 FIFA World Cup in 2006. He denied the star-studded English squad at the penalty shootout at the quarter-final stage. Now in 2018, Daniel Subasic saved 3 penalties and Croatia's World Cup hopes. Subasic tipped the first penalty of the shootout from Denmark midfielder Christian Eriksen onto the post. He then dived to his right to save an attempt from substitute Kohn. Finally, he used his feet to block Nikolaj Jorgensen's attempt. So interesting contest there. Croatia keep their dream alive. Rahul, looking at that Davon Suker 1998 squad with that Ivan, Modic side, do you see similarities between them, and do you see the firepower and legs to go the distance?
I think in terms of sheer quality, this team is probably a little better.
The best midfielders in the world.
When you have the 2 best midfielders in the world, yeah, it's like Uruguay. You have the 2 best finishers in the world in Cavani and Suarez. I think Croatia have the 2 best midfielders. And let's not forget, one plays for Barcelona, one plays for Real Madrid. So, this is a high quality half line. So, yeah, so I would, put them a little bit ahead of that Davor Suker's team. But they don't have a finisher of that quality. But it doesn't really matter. Yeah, of that quality. Suker was, maybe, these are things that you can always debate, who's better and who's worse. Okay. But, yeah, and if you have somebody who can deliver those sort of, and score, it's not just that they are setting up balls. Both of them are capable of scoring good goals, and like we have seen, though he also missed a penalty. So it happens. It kind of levels out.
A quick word. Today's 2 games. Your predictions. The first one, Mexico, Brazil.
Very tough. Well, I think Brazil will go through.
Okay, Mexico and Brazil both have come, but Brazil. Okay, the next one, Japan versus Belgium.
Yeah, that relatively easier to pick. I think Belgium will go through.
Okay, Japan and Brazil, 2 things that both the Bs you put together. Let's wait and watch how things pan out.
I mean, it's very difficult to pick otherwise. Had it been slightly a more balanced contest, then one could have gone the other way. But Japan, not a lot of experience, though they have many players who play in Europe, but as a team, one really not too sure.
Okay, Japan is out, according to Rahul.
I'll tell you why, because the reason is that Belgium's attack is probably
too good. Too much of star power there in that Belgium attack. Yeah. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this evening there on Cup of Glory. Well, that's all in this edition of Cup of Glory. We're going to be back again now at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching. We leave you with images of thousands of Russian fans flocking the city center of Moscow last night, celebrating that historic success of their national football team.
DD Sports, the spirit of India.